Myself in. Here we go. Now let's head down Mandora Road. Viam, do you know why it's called Mandora Road?
Does it have anything to do with the singer?
I don't know if it has anything to do with the singer, but certainly one would think it might be. Oh, now Tula Ann, you say, isn't it scary to climb that ladder? What if a lion came underneath it? Well, it is quite scary. You'll find, though, as you get older, you will discover that you are either afraid of heights or you don't mind them. Some people like to be up high and some people don't like to be up high. I quite like to be up high. Then, the second thing is, if there was a lion there, that would be the best place for me to be. Because we're a bit like monkeys, human beings. You can see we've got hands that can be used like this. And we've got good feet for standing on small branches. And a lion is not built like us, and means that a lion would really struggle to climb up a ladder like that. And so you'd be pretty safe from a lion if it came underneath there. It might sort of stand up and look up at you, but it wouldn't try and climb, I really don't think. And the best thing, of course, is that eventually it will get hungry and will go somewhere else to try and find something to eat. So you'll be perfectly safe up there for as long as you were able to hold yourself up. Right, we are now on Mandora Road. You can see the great swathe of wildlife we've come to see. Everywhere, Vim. Now this is a new road, and the reason that it was put through here was that this was a huge block of sort of untrammeled, I don't hesitate to use the term wilderness, but it was a big block with no roads in it. And we used to walk in here quite frequently, but we couldn't drive in. And I think we missed quite a lot of Shadow's existence by not driving in here, and likewise lions every so often come wandering in and out of here, and they'll lie down in the middle and then disappear again before you've had any chance to see them. Shadow could quite easily come in, or could have quite easily come into this block before, killed something, eaten it for 5 days and left without us ever noticing. So now that situation has changed, which is quite nice. Also should be pretty good for birding, given its position on the crest here. Should get all of the animals in the marula trees and of course in the combretum bushes. Not anything so far. There's a bird on the road. It's flown into the bush next to it. I believe it to be a red-backed shrike. Let's just ease our way around. There it is. No, it's gone. Anyway, can you see it there, Vim? I think it's gone. The red-backed shrike, one of the only shrike species you get in Britain, and I think it's just called the shrike. There. Oh, there's not a great deal going on up here. We'll keep going fearlessly. Ooh, now Jenny, you want to know how many different kinds of shrikes we find here in Djuma. Well, let's go through them. We get the magpie shrike, the white-crowned shrike, the red-backed shrike, the lesser grey shrike from time to time. I think those are the four. I think those are probably the four true shrikes. Then we get sort of derivative shrikes, so we get like a puffback shrike, which is slightly different. I think they're slightly less closely related than the others I described to you. Then we also get the bush shrikes, the orange-breasted bush shrike, the grey-headed bush shrike. Sometimes, maybe, you'll get a gorgeous bush shrike. And I would say that's about it, really. Oh, the chagras are also quite shrike-ish. So the white-crowned or black-crowned chagra and the brown-crowned chagra, you get both of those here. So however many that is, I think is the number of shrikes that we get here. The helmet shrikes, I think, are two different. They're very different. There is the derv. No leopards just yet. Or birds. Or mammals. Reptiles. Amphibians. Insects would do even. Them? Anything? Anything at all? There are also enormous termite mounds in this area. But I think rather than look at termite mounds, let's go back to the Mara where Jamie has found some yapping canids.
Puppies! I found jackal puppies. Sleepy, sleepy jackal puppies. All 4 of them gathered together now, lying out in the open and presumably waiting upon the return of their parents. Now, their parents would have gone and slept, most likely during the heat of the day. Somewhere else away from the den site, they'd be out looking for potential food. But look at this. There's 4 of them. A little bit younger than the ones that we saw playing the other day when we were on the Talek side of the river. If you remember that. So they're still a little bit younger. They haven't fully got to the point where they have their adult colouring, and they're not quite old enough just yet. Close, but not quite old enough yet to go out and accompany their parents on foraging missions. So for now, all that it involves is sleeping peacefully. And the lovely thing about this particular litter of jackal pups, I couldn't think of the word for a second, is that they are completely relaxed with our vehicle. We are right next to them, and I only saw them at the last minute because they're just flat little bundles of fluff in the grass, and they didn't even stir as we drove up to them. Oversized ears. Bree, you say, oh my goodness, absolutely, aren't they cute? They are so sweet. It's my absolute dream to show you jackal pups when they're tiny, tiny, tiny and still fuzzy. Taylor's managed it, and in fact I think Taylor might be the only one. She's got a certain knack for finding jackal dens. I have to say, she really does. She seems to find them all the time. But they are too sweet. And so clean looking, somehow. Philip, actually there's quite a good chance that all 4 will reach adulthood. Provided that a leopard doesn't discover them or something along those lines, there is a very good chance that all 4 of them will survive. They've got to this age now, soon they're going to be accompanying their parents. And jackals are... Can I use the word canny? I guess I can. They're very clued up on the ways of the world. You've seen how jackals skulk around lion kills and occasionally dart in and grab a little snack for themselves. They're very smart animals and they're survivors. They are consummate survivors. So yes, I think that there's a possibility that all... And you often see parents with 4 almost fully grown jackal pups. The trick from there is whether or not they will then survive once they disperse from home. That is where things get particularly difficult. They have to go out, they have to find their own territory, they have to find a mate. It's just often, one of the reasons why often the pups will stick around and help their parents raise the next set of pups. They are true dogs, of course, and therefore are pups. It's the giant ears, I think, Monique. So Monique in London is wondering about whether or not they are related to bat-eared foxes. Distantly, you could certainly say that they are. But I think you'd probably find that the jackal's connection to the dog is closer than it is to the bat-eared fox. Bat-eared foxes are completely, I think they're pretty much in a genus all of their own. They are in the canid family, so they do fall under the dog family. I can't remember their Latin name off the top of my head. Bat-eared fox, I'm afraid. I should. I totally should, but I don't remember it. And of course, bat-eared foxes are insectivores. Wonderful, wonderful little insectivores. Something that we see every now and again on the drives in the Mara. One of my favourite animals. One of my favourite nocturnal animals. You used to see them all the time in the Kalahari when I worked there. And of course, such social creatures. As for these guys, well, I think that, between the baby elephant and now the baby jackals, we're doing pretty well for cute effect. I'm actually going to stay here with them. And I'm going to stay here with them because I'm sure that at some point the adults are going to come back. As to whether or not it is within our time frame is a different story, but it is starting to get cool, and the majority of their activity is first thing in the morning or late in the afternoon, early evening. And just by the way, on the subject of connection, just to finish that thought, or at least familial connection, jackals fall into the Canis genus. So that includes wolves, dogs, and coyotes. So much more closely connected to wolves and dogs than they are to bat-eared foxes. But I hear you. It's those big ears. I'd love to show you a Cape fox as well, but that's highly, highly unlikely. Right, it sounds like Ralph has, I think, if I heard that correctly, managed to find you a very sweet little black and white bird.
Okay, folks, we've just been on search for a leopard. I just want you to listen here. This black-bellied Koran is doing a little bit of a mating call with a chick and a pup. Quite fascinating. We just wait and see if he does it again. He's right on top of a termite mound, so he's elevated himself into a fantastic position. Now, I'm not sure if he's got a nest there or if he's putting himself into a perfect position to attract a female. He was calling like he is trying to attract a mate. And there we go. Hear that? I hope you can hear that on the camera, because it's a lovely call. That's quite similar looking to that of the red-crested Koran, but he's got a much more different call, and that his is like an old Lister engine starting up. It does a chit 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 chit, and as it gets higher and higher and higher pitched. This is a black-bellied Koran. Now Mia asking, sorry, I just want to listen there. Mia asking the question, what is the difference between a red-bellied bustard and a red-breasted Koran? I'm just going to get the book out and I'm going to show you all the Koran. So Mia, we're going to do that in a minute. In the meantime, I just want to keep looking at the behavior of this bird because it's quite fascinating. And while I get the Korans out in my book, I hope you can hear that. Now remember, Mia, that I'm talking about the red-crested Koran, not the red-bellied. And the black-bellied is obviously, I'm going to show you the difference between the red-crested Koran and the black-bellied Koran. They are quite similar. There's a little bit more black on the belly of the black-bellied Koran, but they both do have black bellies. But I still just want to maintain the view on this particular animal because he's calling very nicely for us. I'm trying to attract a female, I'm absolutely sure. earlier I mentioned that the woodland kingfisher is seasonally monogamous, and I was corrected by one of the viewers, Billy Bobbitt, I think it was in particular, that said that they are lifetime, or they are monogamous through their lives. That would mean that they could potentially stay together for an entire lifetime, but if there was one of them that had to die, then okay, what I'm talking about here, folks, this was the black-bellied Quran. Okay, what I just want to clarify that a red-crested Quran looks very similar to that of a black-bellied Quran, and if we have a look at the difference here, we're looking at the black-bellied Quran here at the top. Now with that very distinguishable call, he's doing a chick with a pop, and the red-crested Quran, who also has a black belly, not quite as much as the black-bellied Quran, he has a little red crest, but it is only shown in display. Alright, so it can be mistaken for, these two birds can be mistaken, and they do occur in the same areas, but with that particular call, it is unmistakably the black-bellied Quran. Alright, so this little bird has flown off, and I think James is next to the waterhole, so let's go over to him.
Here we are at the waterhole, indeed the treehouse waterhole, and out of a little pot of gold is shortly to emerge the hippopotamus. There it is. Look at that. This is an odd angle to be shooting at, straight into the sun, but I really just like the picture it made of the hippo coming out of what looked like molten gold. Isn't that nice? Hello. Are you having a good day? It's very pleasant here in the sun, isn't it? Yes. Well, maybe not for you. Where is he moving? Is he coming closer to us? Ooh. I can hardly look at the water, actually. I have to look at the screen to see what's going on because it's so blindingly reflective. Let's see him pop up again. We are at Treehouse Waterhole, like I said. It is slowly getting emptier, I think. I'm not sure how much effect the last rains have actually had on it. But we really have had some very good rain indeed over the last little while, and so hopefully that will continue. I don't think we have any kind of drought danger this year. In fact, the great geniuses who model these things say that there may be heavy rain, there may not be heavy rain. Brilliant, isn't it? Brad, you say, is this the hippo that has the small baby? No, Brad, this is most likely a bull who has been separated from a pod because he's now coming sort of towards his adolescence, and so he's not being tolerated by the bull who is the sort of chairman of the board, if you like, in the hippo pod, and that's why he's in this kind of, not suboptimal, but it's not the best place for a hippo to be. It's not very deep, and of course he has to be on his own. So no, I think he's a bull. The young hippo is in Chitwa Dam, a much bigger piece of water, and of course there are probably one major pod, maybe one or two developing pods in that dam. We might go there depending on where Ralph goes a little bit later. Somebody will definitely pop down there during the course of the drive. Okay, let us continue. I'm afraid there has been no further evidence of a big cat. We did see one elephant, but he didn't want to know anything about us. He disappeared. We'll pop round here and see if he doesn't emerge from the bush. And it's round about here, of course, that sharing my last experience with Shongile always comes to mind. We sat with her on foot just in a bush here, eating a tortoise, and we sat not more than 8 meters from her, and she just ignored us. It's just very special. Who was asking that question? Conrad? Conway? Connor? William? Not Conrad, Conway, or Conway. William. Hello, William. You say, have we seen any carmine bee-eaters this year yet? No, not yet. We'd expect them to arrive fairly soon, but I haven't seen one yet. I've seen all the others. Well, I haven't seen a white-fronted, but they're not common, and they're, well, they're not migratory. Are they? Don't think they are. So we've got plenty of little ones, and the Europeans came back some time ago, and it was so nice to actually hear them. Being in Kenya when they started their return journey, of course, you heard them there first, before they arrived here, and it was so nice to think of them sort of, I guess they would have left their homes, say a week or two before we heard them in Kenya, and knowing that they had another 3 or 4 weeks to go to get back down here. And how exciting that journey must be for them every year, if not slightly terrifying. The whaty? Did you copy that? Mike, you're wondering about North American bird ever been spotted here. Mike, I don't know for sure. Let me just open my book. I'm not sure on the Sabi sands. In South Africa, yes, absolutely. There have been a few vagrants from the United States. We have 2 vagrants from the United States in the final control as we speak. They flew here. They aren't birds, however. Let me just have a look-see. I know the American golden plover has been seen in southern Africa. So these are what we call the vagrants. So seen once or twice. Normally winters in East Africa, so that's not there. Sahelian zone, no. Tropics, Canada. There we go. The Hudsonian godwit. There we go. From Canada. That's. Oh, and then the greater yellow legs, also a wanderer from the Americas. So these ones come from time to time. The pied wheat ear, ooh, that's quite interesting. We don't get them here. I don't know where they're from. Some from Botswana. Eurasian redstart black cap. Breeds in Europe. But this one is the most interesting one, I think. The citrine wagtail. Oh no, it's a European species. There's also an American golden plover that we used to get here, or has been seen here. Spur-wing plover, of course, or lapwing we get up in East Africa, we know them. Let me just quickly turn this over. Greater sheathbill, and where that's found. It says, oh, they live in South America. That's interesting, and it says here, it probably arrived here ship-assisted, so climbed on board a ship, and then arrived in Cape Town. What a shame it landed there, rather than a more sort of attractive part of South Africa. And then, yeah, those are the only ones. So yeah, you do get them from time to time, making their way across the Atlantic, but I think by and large they've been blown off course, or like that sheetwater or sheetbill being caught on a ship. Okay. Let us continue our quest for something actually living, other than the trees. They're all living. Alrighty, we are now going to hand you back north to Brent. I don't know what he's got, what he's looking at, or what he's about to find, but it'll be fun.
Well, we went back to that leopard. We had to leave him, unfortunately. He was sleeping so soundly. We found a massive spider's nest now, and lots of different spiders in there, but in a very strange home. And it's the tourists who didn't make it home after safari. I'm a bit nervous to go look and see if there are any bones inside. But how's that? I mean, we travel around the Mara constantly, and I've been in this area many times, fair enough, quite a lot of the times at night, but I have never seen the abandoned safari vehicle before. I want to get a little bit of a closer look. Let's go a bit closer. And this looks like it's really old. I mean, really, really old. The spiders have taken up a home in it, and then also the trees are using it as a spot to explode out of. Now, you probably find that's because the birds have defecated inside it, and that's been a nice safe spot for the trees to grow from. Now, I can just imagine a cheetah sitting on top of this, using it as a spot. Mike, very good question. Mike would like to know, can I tell when the van broke down by looking at the size of the tree? Yes, but no, actually I can't. I think that tree came afterwards. I want to have a closer look. Maybe we can find a date or something on it. And this looks like this could be from the 70s. Ooh, baby blue on this side. Now, of course, places like this often become homes to quite large snakes and other things, so I'm going to be a little bit careful. And I can just see a cheetah sitting on top of this, using it as a vantage point. I'm just going to pop around the back, see if I can find any. So what's happened here is that actually the whole chassis and everything's been removed. It's just the outside case. So there's none of the sort of engine parts or anything. All of that's gone. And I can't see a date on it anywhere. But judging by the shape of it, it looks like a very old Volkswagen. Looking at the grille. How sturdy do we think this thing is? Craig, how sturdy? Oh my goodness. What is that? There's something inside that says dairy box. There's a little tin in there. I'm quite tempted. Let me just... No, this is old. This is properly sturdy. This is an old car. They don't make cars like this with this thickness anymore. No, this is a properly sturdy car, this one. Very old. 60s, 70s? I don't know. Isn't it amazing? A little piece of history. Now, I'm going to try get the dairy box out. But I am going to use, I'm not sure what, this looks like it was part of the seats. I'm just going to do this to make sure there's no snakes in here first. Make a bit of noise. Oh, no, I'm only joking, of course. Now, I think this is someone's lunchbox. It's under the seat. Okay, so far so good. This might actually give us a better clue. There's a date on it. How cool is this? A dairy box. Oh. Oh, Rebecca is going to be very upset with me. What are those things she looks for all the time? What are these things? No, those geocaches or whatnot. Well, Becca, I found a geocache without even playing the game. Okay, I suppose I should put that back. That's obviously been added later. But I'm just going to get my ears back in quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's going to be, am I going to be long enough? We'll put them in the other side. How cool is that? Now, that is not something you see every day. We see lions quite often. Sorry, Faith, can you go again? My ear fell out there. But we see lions, we see leopards, we see cheetahs. It's not often you find an antiquated minibus. I'm quite curious about this. I don't know much about this geocaching. Rebecca knows about it. Geocache logbook. Oh, goodness. So, oh my goodness. I actually know one of the people who's written in this book. He's a friend of mine from school. He's also a guide in the Mara. But it was put here on the 8th of the 4th, 2016. And only one person. No? So 2 people. 3 people. 3 people have found it. Now, I don't know much about these geocaches. I know Rebecca, when in Uganda, was running around looking for one. Congratulations, you found a geocache, intentionally or not. Well, we are all not. Geocaching is an anytime, anywhere adventure where players called geocaches, Rebecca, Use a geocaching app or GPS to find hidden containers around the world. What to do? Sign and date the logbook. Trade items if you want to. Just remember to leave something of equal or greater value. If you find something with the words takeable at geocaching.com, it's best to leave it in the geocache unless you know what to do with it. Re-hide the container exactly where and how you find it so other geocachers can find it. Log your find online at geocaching.com or using the free official geocaching app. Okay, I now know about geocaching. So, let's take the little pencil. Safari Live was here. What do you think, Craig? Brent and Batman, hashtag Safari Live. There we go. I think Becca's going to be jealous. What do you think?
Probably.
Brent, Batman, and Josh. Oh, no, sorry, Josh. So Josh is our ranger who's with us today. Hashtag Safari Live. There we go. How cool is that? Okay. So I'm going to probably put this back where I found it. Because I'd say this looked a little bit newer than the car. And it looked like it had been very much placed there. So we're going to put it right back where it was. Bye-bye, dairy box. Okay. Faith, am I hearing you? Why am I not? Yes, I'm hearing you. So, okay, I'm going to put it back. I'm going to keep moving. Oh, what's that calling? No, I thought it was a jackal. A jackal alarm calling, but it's not. It sounds like it's actually a white-bellied Quran down there somewhere, making funny noises. Lara Moore. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll do that right now. Lara Moore says we should have added plus. How many again? Okay. Oh, we've got to put the date as well. It's a good thing. Plus 2,300 viewers. What's the date today? Do you know, Craig? The date, Josh? 28th of the 11th. 17. Here we go. Let's make sure we pop everything back. Make sure it's nice and tight. Water doesn't get in, so the next person can find it. How many of you on Safari Live are geocachers? Let me know. Hashtag Safari Live. Okay, let's put this back quickly. Although, I must say, it's quite a dangerous spot to put a geocache if you've got someone who's not aware about serpents and things. Very cool. Maybe I'll start playing this game, Rebecca. If you're listening, Rebecca is always running around looking for geocaches. While I was trying to bird in Uganda, Rebecca was searching for geocaches. Utel says that is a VW Bully 2, and Vital went to Botswana in 1976 in one of those. So I guessed it was from the 70s, that it's sort of got that 70s era look about it. Okay, well, we found a VW and a geocache. Now let's go find some cats. what do we got there? No. So I'm going to keep heading towards the north now and take a little shortcut between the roads. Whoop, whoop. Because if I go that way, unfortunately, I can't hear final control. But that was quite, I did not expect to find an antique VW frame. Because of course all the inner parts had been actually removed. The chassis was completely gone. Oh, we got some ostriches up ahead. Now we found a nest a long way away from here on the other side of the river last week. So it'll be nice to find another nest a bit closer to camp. Ooh, it sounds like Jamie's got something adorable.
I do, but I'm still so absolutely amazed at what Brent has just found. I'm really curious to know where he is, because I've never seen that old VW. I'm really, really curious to know where it is, because I sort of thought I'd pretty much explored everywhere on that side of the river, or come close to. So it just goes to show there's still so much more to learn and see. I found an old car once on a bushwalk, not on Djuma, but many years ago. So we're still with our Jackal pups in the sort of vague hope that they were going to get up and play. I have to say, so far the signs of stirring... Oh, hold on. No. Not a movement. The odd head lifts up. Oh, hello. Come on, you lot. It's getting late. Well, it's getting early in the evening for you. Time for you to get up. That one little one on the right of this flat pup has got a sore paw. Brad, yes, Jackal are actually active at all times of the day. Obviously, during the heat of the day, they are more likely to be asleep, but you see them knocking about at pretty much every hour of the day. You'll see them wandering about. It just depends on what's going on at the time. Hopefully when this pup stretches again, you'll be able to see it's got a little cut pad, or between its sort of main pad and the toes. I just want to see if it'll stretch again, because I just saw the flash of it out of the corner of my eye. But Jackal, their main hours of activity will be calling in the early evening, and then during the night and early in the morning, and then they'll go to sleep for most of the day. And apparently into the evening as well. Come on, you four. You puppies. Gotta play. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for that. That's going to happen before the end of the sunset safari. I'm invested in it now. We've been here for so long. So we're going to wait for our flat pups to stir themselves. It seems as though it's been an afternoon of interesting finds and cute creatures. And apparently James back on Djuma is continuing the trend.
Now we are sitting here with some dwarf mongooses. There they are. They have a lovely little home to live in here. It's got a good easterly facing aspect for the mornings, a westerly one for the evenings, keeping warm for the cold winter months. Gorgeous place to sit and have a cocktail every evening. That's what mongoose do, of course. Real leisure seekers they are. And just as we look at them, what a wonderful thing to have found a geocache in the middle of the Mara. I think that's just fantastic. Now I'm going to ask you, Viam. No, I'm not. Just wait. Don't do anything yet. Stay on the mongoose. I saw an agama on this tree above us, but it seems to have moved away. Never mind about the agama. Let's stay on the mongooster, which seem to have moved. No, they haven't. There are one or two there still. That's a youngster. Look at him just digging away there. Soon he'll have to go to bed, of course. Young mongoose must go to bed as the sun goes down. So he's just having a last little play. Isn't he sweet? Oh, that's so sweet. I can hear some elephants coming this way. That's exciting. We'll just give them a bit of time to make their way down, I think probably towards Twin Dams. Hi guys, there's Mum saying, come on, inside, we're messing around, time for your bath. Now, Mike, you're wondering about Timon of the Lion King and whether he was perhaps a dwarf mongoose. No, he wasn't, he was a meerkat, which is a mongoose type, normally found in desert regions, not as far as I know found anywhere near where the Lion King was set. I mean, I know it was set in Africa generically, but looked pretty much like the Mara Serengeti ecosystem to me. When they don't occur there. But Timon was a meerkat. Same family, I don't think the same genus, but certainly the same family. Very similar social structure and way of operating. Okay, VM, if you go now, on the right hand side of this Balanites tree, what we've got is a blue-headed tree agama without a blue head. So it's Mrs. Blue-headed tree agama. There she is. Hello, my dear. Isn't she lovely? Look how perfectly camouflaged she is on the trunk of this Balanites magami or torchwood tree. Look at her breathing. She looks like she's had a bit of a shock. Or that she's about to hunt something. She'd eat any kind of insect that she could get hold of. Oh, she's still sitting there. I'm starting to think that I prefer their colours to the males. Simply because they're much more subtle. Look at her looking at us, eyeing us. How cool is this? And Pam here agreeing with me that she has the most perfect camouflage. Yes, she does. The male doesn't. He looks like a great big sapphire wandering up and down the tree. Some chin spot batises up ahead. We won't be able to see those, I don't think. What a very special sighting. It's such a peaceful afternoon out here. It really is. You can just imagine actually sort of having a cocktail with the mongoose troop as they while away the afternoon there. Well, Lily, you're aged just 6, of course, and if you look at those termites, or the mongoose on the termite mound, you say, do they live inside it? Well, just watch carefully, you'll see them going into it. They do. Doesn't that look like a cosy, comfortable place to live? I think it must be so special to live in there, with all your family and all your friends. And they don't spend any time out in the darkness. They go in as soon as it gets dark, they'll go inside. They don't work very hard, they've got quite a leisurely life. That means that they find enough to eat quite quickly, they spend a lot of time just playing and resting and having a good time. You can see the little ones there just playing. And there you can see them going into the hole and out of the hole again, and that's where they will live. I don't know what it looks like inside. Romit, you're wondering about how deep a mongoose's den can be. You know, they're not diggers, so they'll go into whatever they can. So many of the holes in here will not join to the other holes, so they won't modify the den hugely. And so I think you'll find that most of those holes which have been dug by, I don't know, what would they have been dug by? Small holes like that. These guys probably do a little bit of digging. Tortoises will dig at them when they are soft, when there's been rain on top of them, and tortoises can sometimes dig into the sides. Maybe those holes also are just erosion. You can see there aren't any termites in it, so maybe they've eroded away. And some of them may be big enough to lead into the center of the mound. But mostly I don't think they'd be much deeper than a foot or so. Isn't that just the best? A teenager with a very little one, and they're doing that allo grooming. Daniel from Florida, you are not talking about the mongoose. I'm sure you're talking about the lizard. In fact, there's another lizard there. You see there's a stripe-bellied skink. You see it there on the bottom. Neither of these are particularly similar to an iguana, I don't think. I don't know what the relationship is between, that's the stripe-bellied skink, I think it's a stripe-bellied skink, maybe just be a striped skink. And then up above it is the, not the iguana, but the agama that you were talking about. And I don't think that they'd be very closely related to an iguana, no. Because the iguanas, I think, are only found in the New World, which means they've separated from this line of reptiles many millions of years ago, I think. It's so sweet. Right, I think we should probably head on down to the dam and see if we can't find the elephants. While we do that, Jamie's got a what? A water something.
Watermelon.
A watermelon. I hope it's a nice one.
I have a lovely watermelon. Did I mishear that? Or was did I misinterpret? I was going to say cute. Oh no, when links go bad. I don't have a watermelon, but I do have some cotton wool clouds. Was actually where I was going to go with that, but I really wish I had a watermelon. In fact, I might just carry a watermelon around for the next time that mistake happens. I mean, not that it's a very likely mistake, but Jamie has a watermelon. It's also a euphemism that we use for a suspenseful sighting as well. Watermeloning, it goes back to broadcasting and elastic bands being wrapped around a watermelon. But I don't have a watermelon. I'm really sad I don't have a watermelon. It would be imagine how amazing that would have been if I'd just gone, yes I do. Here we go, here's a watermelon. Oh, pup's up. Pup is up. Come on, little pup. Oh, we're going to have to leave them relatively shortly. There's the pup is up and wandering about. We're going to have to leave them relatively shortly because we actually have a very, very long way to go. We've got about an hour and a half drive on the road that we've got to travel on to get back to camp. So fairly soon, after all that, fairly soon we're going to have to travel off. But it was worth it. I'm glad we stayed with them, just in the off chance, on the slim chance that they got up and started wandering about. Okay, so with our cute little pups, as we leave them sleeping, let's send you back across to Djuma, where James apparently has a pineapple for you.
Here we have a grey-headed heron. A grey heron, sorry, not a grey-headed heron. And naturally it's just flown behind a bush. Apparently Jamie linked me with my pineapple. I now also want a pineapple as much as Jamie wants a watermelon. Anyway, let's see if we can get another view of that heron, and if we can't, can you see him, Vim?
No, he flew away.
Yes, okay, thank you. I see that he flew away. Then let's go a little bit forward. There's a hole right here. Hang on, wait. Remember, there was a hole here into which a lizard disappeared, a very large water monitor. Let's have a look at that interesting looking sandpiper there. I think that is the wood sandpiper. I just need to get onto the game drive radio just to explain something to Ralph quickly. If they could stop talking, that would be wonderful. Ralph Kirsten, that is Mvubu Road Junction, Buffelshoek cut line. Sounds like a nice option. So Ralph's just trying to get into what sounds like a leopard sighting. Isn't that just gorgeous? Hey, the light is perfect. The legs are a sort of, well, guacamole colour. Well, guacamole that's been in the sun for a little while. I'm looking at him with my binoculars, so I've got a very similar shot to the one you've got. And I just think there's something rather marvellous about his peaceful wandering through the bushes, through the water here, looking for little invertebrates, snails, tadpoles, probably little aquatic spiders, I'm sure. Oh, we found something there. Mosquito larvae. Basically anything that he can grab off the surface of the water. Linda, you say wow amazing. It is, isn't it? I mean, it's not wow amazing like a leopard leaping out of a tree onto the back of a wildebeest, but it has its own kind of magic, doesn't it? Wim, don't you think it's magic? You noticed the stony silence from behind me when I said that. Wim's big on leopards jumping out of trees onto wildebeest, aren't you, Wim?
No, I was actually wondering if that heron isn't up to something.
Oh, the heron?
Yeah.
Ah. Alright, well you can go and have a look then. He will be fishing, of course. Wondering if he can find, I think probably more likely a frog than a fish in here. Although, how long has this dam had water in it now? Let's see. I think it's about a year. That should have been enough time for the catfish to have emerged from their eggies, and for those that were, or managed to overcome. I know none of them would have made it through the dry season, of course, in the mud, because they dug this dam out. So it has to be reseeded by eggies on birds' legs and mammals' legs, I imagine. But clearly there's something here of interest, for the heron wouldn't be here. Such exquisite patience, balletic movement. It's almost, in fact, it's not balletic at all. It's like it's Tai Chi. It's moving like it's doing Tai Chi. I did Tai Chi once, Vim. 3 lessons.
It was delicious.
Delicious. It wasn't that delicious, actually. I changed to Kung Fu quite shortly after that. Which wasn't very delicious either. I got thumped.
I thought it was a sort of a dish.
And we can also hear the calling of the orange-breasted bush shrike. And there's some francolins in the background. What used to be the fan-tailed flycatcher, whose name I can never remember. I think it's the ashy grey flycatcher now. And that orange-breasted bushrike, one of those gorgeous birds that we seldom actually manage to get on screen because they are not particularly confiding. Marvellous. Shall we press on, Liam? Would you like to go to Chitwa?
Yep.
You would? Okay.
There's a sauna there.
I don't know if Hosanna's there, but we'll go and have a look. While we go and do that, how long have you had the camera on me?
Not long.
Not long. You're lying, aren't you? His favourite trick, that one. Let's go back across to the Masai Mara with Brent and a lion.
Now, we've got a beautiful big male lion. I actually know him quite well. We see him with the big sausage tree pride, and he's looking for love. He is sniffing around. It really looks like he's looking for a lady. I'm just going to move forward to get a nice shot for all of you of the sunset and this male lion. He's got a very distinct scar in his nose. And what have you spotted? Another lion. What did you see, Josh? Oh, lion. It could be another lion or a hyena. Well, we'll go. Let's have a look at this. I see there where you're looking. I think it looks like a hyena over there. But let's get this male lion and the sunset quickly. Magic, 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 magic. There we go. He's going to walk into it now. As I say, he's looking for love. He's wandering around, sniffing, 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 looking for some lady companionship. And can you believe that this is lion number 40 that Craig and I have seen today? Lion number 40. In a single day, in the Mara Triangle, we have seen 40 lions so far today. And one leopard. Lots of hyenas. Oh. Speaking of hyenas, there's some excited hyenas. What are you guys getting excited about? I think they're coming in to that male lion. Or they've smelt something else, but they're running in. Just going to make sure we can try and get a view of both. Where's the lion? How close is he? Oh, he's okay. Oh, no, hyena's seen the male lion and decided it's time to go the other way. Look at that. There you go, 2 spotted hyenas. Ranger Robin says, just wow. It has been a wow of a day. It's been absolutely beautiful being out here. Having a little greeting ceremony. There might be a den close to here. This is an area that a lot of people don't come to very often. But they look like they're losing interest in the lion. I'm going to try get another sunset shot of the big boy. Now, I've spent quite a few nights with this particular lion, and the one night he massacred wildebeest and didn't even eat them. He just killed them and left them, killed them and left them. So, when you want me to turn, Craigie? There we go. Mara magic. You can just see he's walking, sniffing, looking for ladies. They don't seem to be around there. PP is wondering how much territory did we cover to see 40 lions. I'm just going to move forward again a little bit. I'm trying to think, how many Ks have we done today? Probably around 60. We haven't left the Mara Triangle, so camp's up there. We basically came down from camp along the Mara River till the crossings, and then from the crossings we cut straight down towards the Salt Lick, and then we basically just, most of those lions, I mean, just think here, a lot of those lions have all been in quite a small area, I'm hoping he's going to walk into the sunset again, but now, of course, he's changed his direction. I'm supposed to walk the other way, silly. RFF says this lion is on a mission. Indeed he is. And he hasn't moved very far since we found him. He's just walking up and down, sniffing for the ladies. Or it could be a potential he's looking for another lion, either his coalition mate or an interloper. You never know. But generally when I've seen male lions walking around like this, they normally are looking for love. So it sounds like you guys are getting some fantastic screenshots of this beautiful big boy. Off he goes. Now I'm going to let him meander on his missions. And we're going to start missioning back towards the north. You never know what we might find on our way home. We're still probably about an hour or so from camp. Oh, I just had some comms breakup, but it sounds like we're going to send you all the way back to South Africa. Let's go see what Rolf's up to.
Alright folks and kids, look at this big animal that we're looking through the bush here. While you're looking at that, I just want to welcome the Diamond Springs Elementary School. Oh, excuse me, they're not even with us yet. Alright, we're just watching this giraffe up here in front. We've been circling around a little bit and looking for some leopard tracks. We did pick up on some of the tracks from this morning that Noel had found the leopard, but we haven't been able to find him. In the meantime, we have driven down the road and we've picked up on this giraffe who's just been feeding happily in front of us. A lovely male giraffe that's moving through here. Sorry, I jumped the gun there. It was a little bit on the school kids. Okay, so I was a little bit early for them, but we'll just move forward a little bit and see if we can catch up with this giraffe. I'm going to switch off just as we drop down this little hill here because we don't want to scare him off. You know how skittish giraffe can be, so we just want to try and stay with him but not to scare him off, and hopefully we can actually get a bit of a clearer view of him before he disappears. So he is walking down the road. He hasn't run off from us. He has just defecated on the road as well, but he seems quite happy with us. There are some oxpeckers hitching a ride. Looks like they're feeding as he's walking along. And the pace that he's sauntering along is probably at about 8 kilometers an hour. 8 kilometers in miles, that we will half it, so we'll just under 4 miles an hour. Obviously just less than half, so just under 4 miles an hour, about 3.5 miles an hour he's walking at now. He has been feeding as he's been going, and he's a lone bull all on his own. He's got lovely dark markings as they do get once they do reach their prime and getting a bit older than prime. So giraffe live to up to about 28-30 years old at a maximum, so we would estimate or guesstimate that this male is heading towards, or over 20 years, heading towards about 22-23 years of age. He's got to feed again. Actually looks like he might be feeding on a quarry. Jackie asking the question, when is mating season for giraffe? Jackie, there isn't any real mating season for giraffe. They just find any time of year to do the deed, and it's normally a gestation period of around 15 months. It is obviously always better for them to coincide dropping of the young around the new growth after the rains, but with giraffe it is any time of year, so they don't have a specific time when they would drop, but they would do better dropping at the new growth after rain. So the animals that drop at that time would always do better. Okay, so I'm going to continue following this giraffe down the road, see where he leads us, but James has got one of those flatter water animals to show you in the meantime.
We have got a water animal, yes. It is another lizard. Well, sort of like a lizard. It is an enormous crocodile. There it is. Now, there are crocodiles, of course, in the Mara today, eating zebra by the dozen. Just listening to the radio. There are rumours of things going on here at Chitwa Dam. Anyway, there is a crocodile, very restfully peaceful. And of course, a blacksmith lapwing. And there's a lot going on here. There are waterbuck off to the left-hand side of that. Nice herd there. Some impala. And then their baby hippo is in front of us, which we'll go and have a look at now. I think I might remain here. We are going to have a school joining, in fact 3 schools joining us, the names of which I have forgotten, but I will remember them because I have them written down. But they're joining us in a few minutes, so I don't think we're going to move from here. This will be a lovely thing for the kids to see. There's some parrots, quickly. Parrots! Really wonderful when the presenter throws the cameraman under the bus like that. Tom, you say is the experience that a tourist might experience at Djuma similar to that you might experience on Safari Live? Well, you know, as far as possible it is. I mean, that's what we try to recreate. We're trying to recreate the game drive experience. It's why there isn't a camera on the front of the vehicle. It's why it's behind, so that you and I can look at each other when we speak to each other, as I would do if I was guiding you as a guest here. But there are differences, and the main differences are, of course, that the smell of the wild, for me, is the main difference. You know, there are a huge number of smells that you can get here, which are just delicious. There's a jacana going off. You know, the feeling of the wind, the touching of the leaves and the soil and that sort of thing, obviously we can't recreate. But it's mainly the smells that are so very different. Also, of course, when you're in an area like this, there is an, I mean, I don't know really to describe it, but there's an energy that you pick up. You pick up some kind of energetic feel of every place that you go to. And I just don't think you quite get that virtually. So yes, coming to an area like this would be different. But essentially the game experience, the game drive experience would be very similar to what you're getting now. Except it wouldn't be me driving you. Let's keep going. Just listening to the radio. Sounds like there might be some action around here. I'm not sure what though. Whoops, I drove off the damn wall there. That would be unpleasant. Now, Grant, you're worrying. Worrying. I don't know if you're worrying, but you're wondering if the crocodiles and hippopotami have got a harmonious relationship. I don't believe that there's an organism in the world that has a harmonious relationship with a crocodile. I think they are universally, if not reviled, certainly feared. And the hippos are no different. The hippos definitely revile them, and I'll show you why now. There is a very baby tiny hippo resting on its mum's back. There we go. Look, it's so small. And a crocodile would eat that, Grant. If it could get hold of it, it would eat it for certain. But it is impossible for a crocodile to get hold of a little hippo like that as long as mum is around. They are extremely protective of their youngsters. You can hear the Diederik's cuckoo, the red-chested cuckoo, greater blue-eared glossy starling. Excuse me. Now, I must just tell you that making his world premiere on the microphone in the D1 position this evening, we have got Ryan Carl Drogo, who has just arrived from the Americas, 6 feet and 8 inches, and in 30 seconds he is going to direct his first school show. Good luck, Ryan. Oh, I quickly better find the names of the schools. I've probably got 10 seconds. There we go. I've got them. Don't come back to me yet, Via. Right, hello all you beautiful children from the 3 schools that I'm now going to have to read because VM's being very unkind putting the camera on me. Diamond Springs Elementary School, Pawtucketville Memorial Elementary, and Pembroke Meadows Elementary. You're aged 5 to 8 years old. It's wonderful to have you with us here in Africa. My name is James, on camera's VM. VM is the naughtiest man in the world, and so I hope you will join me in telling him not to be naughty for the next 45 minutes while you're with us. Please ask us as many questions as you'd like to. You just ask your teacher. She will magically get a question through to my ear, and I will do my very best to ask you any question. I will answer any question that you might have. This beautiful waterhole here has got lots and lots of life in it. And the first thing I want to show you is a very baby hippo. Look, there's a little hippopotamus there, waiting there on his mum's back. Now, Zachary, you've obviously been watching for a while, so I wonder if lots of you school kids haven't been watching for a while. You say, why do baby hippos rest on their mums' backs? Well, it's because they can't stand. They're too short to stand in that amount of water, you see. And so, if the little hippo was to let go of his mum's back, which he can do, he would sink to the bottom, and then he would have to jump up again to breathe. Of course, they can't breathe underwater. And so he's just too short to stand on the bottom. But he can hold his breath for a long time, and often what he will do is go under the water to nurse. And so he's just a little bit tired. You can see his eyes are closing and opening there. And he's just having himself a good sleep. Just like baby human beings, baby hippos like to have more sleep than adults. Something quite interesting also on the back end of that hippo. We zoomed in as far as we can be. No, the other side? There. What is that? Is that skin or was it an insect? It looked like it was landing there every so often. Anyway, it's probably just a piece of skin or a leaf. You can also see, of course, the cuts that the hippo's got. I suspect that's from other bull hippos who don't like the baby. And that's a very complicated subject we won't talk too much about. Anyway, sometimes things are not always friendly in hippo society, just like with human beings. Then beyond them, on the grass there, we've got some Egyptian geese. They are birds that we see a lot of around here, and they like to nest in this area. There they are. Now, I'm not alone out here. My friend Ralph is quite a long way north of here. I know he had a giraffe earlier. I'm not sure what he's got now. Let's go and find out.
Howdy kids, welcome to the afternoon game drive with me, Ralph. I want to ask you a question, and we're going to give you the answer in just a little while, okay? But once you start throwing your answers and your comments, then we're gonna talk about them a little bit, and then we're gonna head down the road and we're gonna see if your answers are right. So, can any of you tell me what is the tallest land mammal? Let's get those questions in, those answers, please fire away, and once they start coming in, we're going to head down, we're going to sneak down the road, and we're going to follow up on this large mammal that's just round the corner. He's feeding on the tops of the trees, and he's moving through the bush very quietly. All right, so fire those answers away, and while you do that, I'm just going to start the engine up slowly, and I'll just go forward a little bit, and then because we're on a downhill, we go through nice and quietly, and we come around the corner, and what do we have here? Alright, so who's that, kiddies? And what is he feeding on? Look at that lovely long tongue. Diamond Springs Elementary, well done. You were the first to answer. This is a giraffe. And we've got some more answers coming through. Well done, guys. Yes, a lovely big African giraffe. And he's feeding on some very small leaves. Now, it's quite interesting to note that for such a big animal, he eats such small little leaves. He's got to eat a lot of those leaves for him to survive, because he's such a big animal. He's got to eat almost all day. Look at him. He's got to eat lots and lots and lots of leaves. Now, if you think that animal is as big as 2 buses on top of each other, very tall. Right, and this is a boy giraffe. Very dark. The girls aren't as dark as that. They don't get as tall either. They're more a light brown color. Remy, why do giraffe have long necks? Question coming from Remy. Well, Remy, they need to have those long necks so that they can get to the leaves on the top of the trees, because they like to eat the leaves at the top and not at the bottom, so they don't need to fight with the small little animals to get to the leaves. They're the only ones that can feed on the leaves on the tops of trees. And they also need that long neck to be able to reach down to drink water, because they're such big animals. They need a long neck to be able to get down to the water. Joshua asking the question, why giraffe have rough tongues? Well, Joshua, I don't know if we can see in nice and closely there. On a lot of the trees that the giraffe are feeding on, they have very big thorns. So the tongue is very rough so that they don't get hurt by the thorns on the trees. So there he starts walking up along the road. We are going to follow him a little bit. Now, if you did see any of those little birds that were jumping around on the giraffe, those are oxpeckers. And those oxpeckers are eating all the ticks off the giraffe. Mr. Lugo asking if giraffe lie down when they sleep. Mr. Lugo, they don't generally lie down flat. Now I'm just going to talk a little bit quietly because we're coming up right next to him. Mr. Lugo, they don't lie down completely flat. Excuse me, I'm going over this shoulder. They don't lie down completely flat, but what they do is like a dog does sometimes, where they put their head over their rump. So they don't lie flat. They lie on their haunches and they put their neck over their bum. Okay, so he's walking up through the bush a little bit. I am going to try and catch up with him. He is walking away from us just a little bit, so I'm going to pop around the corner. Okay, so I'm going to catch up with this giraffe a little bit, see if we can follow him a little bit longer. There he is, but James has got some antelope to show you.
We've got a very special antelope here. That's called a nyala. And it's my favorite antelope out here. Isn't that lovely? Now he's a very good looking fellow. This is an adult bull nyala. He probably weighs about 220 pounds. And he's got a big shaggy coat, which you wouldn't expect out here because of course it gets very hot. And sometimes animals just have long hair like this one does with white on the back, sometimes just to look good for the ladies, and sometimes because it's cold, and sometimes to display to each other. And in the case of the nyala, what they like to do instead of fighting, because of course fighting isn't very good, you can get hurt when you fight, what the nyala does is he just lifts that white hair on his back up, and then they sort of dance around each other, and somehow they decide who's the winner. I don't know how they decide, but that's how they do it. And that means that they don't often fight. But when they do fight, whew, it's quite vicious. Doesn't look vicious, does he? He looks like a very friendly fellow. And mostly they are. If you find one in the camp, well, you'll find that they will be very tolerant of us. That means we're allowed to get quite close to them before they get upset. Isn't he very beautiful? Now you can see the landscape around him is very green. That's because we've had good rain here in South Africa over the last little while. And that has turned the grass green. And we're in the middle of summer, of course, which is the opposite of what you're in. You're sitting, of course, in winter. Isn't it funny how we can be hot here and you can be cold at home? I always find that amazing. Now what he's doing, if you look carefully, he's not eating any grass. He's eating leaves off those short bushes. There'll be a little bit of grass in his diet, but basically what he likes to eat is leaves off bushes, like that one there. And it's just because that's the way his tummy works. His tummy allows him to eat leaves like that rather than grass. And what it means is that he can eat when there is no grass. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage is that often there aren't as many leaves as there are grass in the summer months. So every advantage, which means every good thing that an animal is able to do out here, has to make some kind of sacrifice. It's sometimes difficult. Now, Maria, you say, why are the antelopes so furry? Well, I was just sort of explaining that. The males are furry because they display to each other, which means that they... it's a little bit like... I suppose it's like two boys who dress up very smartly before they have a bit of a boxing match. If you go to a sports match, you know that the boys and girls at sports matches wear tracksuits before they go and start their sports. Well, it's a little bit like that, so that they can look good for each other and display. That means show each other how good looking they are. Now, Juliana, you're wondering how big his horns are, or how long they are. Well, they're probably about 2.5 feet long. So that's quite long. So if you've got a ruler, a 12-inch ruler or 1-foot ruler, it's about 2 of those and then a half. I'm not sure if you know what a half is yet. I know some of you are quite little still. So it's about half the height of you, really. About the size of your leg. And very sharp on the end, you can see. And Sophie, Sophia, you're wondering what these antelope do for fun. Well, these antelope, which are called nyala, remember, N-Y-A-L-A, that's N-Y-A-L-A. What they do for fun... No, you know, the animals out here don't have a lot of fun like you have fun, but the younger ones do. So this man, or this bull here, is a little bit like a man who doesn't have a lot of fun. You know, he's got to go to work, like your fathers have to go to work during the day, and then they're tired when they get home, and they just want to have a bit of a rest. They don't have nearly as much fun as you do. They don't play as much as you do. Well, it's the same here. It's exactly the same. The young ones... The young calves, which are the little ones, that's what we call the little ones, they like to play with each other. They chase each other around. Sometimes they pick up things and play with them in their mouths, not very often, but they mainly spend their time playing with each other by playing tag or catch. Kalani, you say, why do they have hooves? Well, why do you have feet, Kalani? Why have you got feet? You've got feet so that you can what? So that you can walk, of course. Now, your feet are very good at walking upright. You're the only animal in the world, we are the only animal in the world, that can walk on 2 feet, on 2 legs. Now, hooves allow this animal to live the best way that he can in this habitat, so in this area. And those hooves are not as good as feet for walking on 2 legs, but he doesn't want to walk on 2 legs, he wants to walk on 4 legs, and he wants to be very fast and run fast. So he's got narrow hooves, which allow him to grip and run very quickly. Amanda, you've asked a very clever question. You see how clever your question is? It's because you're so clever that the nyala turned to look at us. You see that? You said, why are his eyes wide? Why are they so far apart? Well, I'll show you why. If you look at me, I'm going to demonstrate to you, and then you're going to do the same thing that I'm doing. What I want you to do is take your hands like this and put them over here, okay? Do that for me. Are you all doing that in your classroom? Now, you can see in front of you, right? You can't see to the side of you. Now, what I want you to do is take your finger away from, put it in front of your eyes like that, and then I want you to move it back, move them back until you can't see them anymore. Okay, now I can't see my fingers anymore there. So round about when they reach my ears, even if I look like that, I can't really see them. Now that means that if something is coming to attack me from behind, I can't see what's going on, right? I can't see it. What that nyala does with his wide eyes, remember his eyes, imagine your eyes were taken from the front of your face and moved around to the side. What that means is that he can see much further behind him and much further in front of him than you can. So that's why he's got very wide eyes. Then we've got another antelope coming this way, and he's called a waterbuck. There's our waterbuck. And David, you're wondering how fast they can run. Well, they'll probably run at roughly, what should we say, 30 miles an hour? Maybe 35 miles an hour? They're pretty fast. Much faster than Usain Bolt even. Not as fast as you guys, of course. Obviously, I know that when you run on the playground, you're very fast. But these guys are faster than most men. Than all men. And they're faster than a lot of predators as well. They're faster than hyenas. Not as fast as lions and cheetahs and leopards. But they're pretty fast. And you see how different they are from the nyala? He's a waterbuck. What a very good question, Jordan. You say, is that a boy or a girl antelope? Well, you can see that this antelope does not have any horns. See that? Now, male antelope almost always, in fact, I think they always have horns. So this female doesn't have horns. Some antelope females have horns, but this one doesn't. See? Just walking along there, and I can't see any male antelope there. The nyala, of course, is a male. The female nyala does not have horns. Now, Amira, you're wondering when they sleep. Do they sleep at night? They do, but you know, they don't sleep like us. You know how, if you are fast asleep, your mother or father can come into your bedroom and you won't even notice if they've been there. You won't wake up because you sleep very deeply. Now here in Africa, if you sleep deeply like that, what happens is, of course, you'll be so you can be sneaked up on, snuck up upon by a leopard or a lion or a hyena. You might be caught by a predator. And so they don't sleep deeply, but they do sleep. They lie down and they sort of sleep like this. And then if they hear a noise, they'll look up and look around. And then they'll sleep again. And then if something smells funny, like they smell a lion, they'll wake up again. So they don't sleep like we do. They can't, because there's so many predators around here. Okay, let's move on from here, see what else we can find. Victor, you say how they're pack animals. Well, they're not pack animals. We don't call them that. They are herd animals, though, so they live in a herd. Remember, pack normally refers to dogs. So wolves live in packs, and we say that antelope live in herds. So yes, they are. The male nyala often on his own, but certainly you will find that the waterbuck up in front of us, they definitely live in herds. And we'll just get up so you can see that they're in a herd. Now Yasmin, you've asked the most obvious question. Is a very good one. You say, why is it called a waterbuck? Well, they like to go into water if they're being chased by a predator. So if a lion comes along here and chases one of them, they'll probably head towards the water where we first stopped, and they might jump into the water to escape the predators, because we know cats don't like water, do they? We're about to have a very beautiful picture of the waterbuck in the gorgeous setting sun. Well, Reed, yes, they can swim. You say, can they swim? Of course they can swim. That's why they go into the water. It would be very silly of them to go into the water if they couldn't swim. You see, Reed, that waterbuck's very surprised you asked if she could swim. Isn't that pretty? Now, Xenia, you say, are they related to the deer family? I wonder why she's running. She's just having fun. Isn't that funny? So there you are. That's what they do for fun, even the adults. They have a run on a beautiful afternoon like this. So Xenia, you're wondering, are they related to deer? Well, they are, but they're not very closely related to deer. They're about as closely related to deer as you are to a monkey. So you're not closely related to a monkey, are you? No, not at all. And they're about the same relative to a deer as you are to a monkey. So they look similar. They've got similar kinds of hands, and they've got hooves that are very similar to deer, and they've got a similar way of digesting, but they're not the same. Well, let's see what else we can find around here. Maybe we'll be very lucky and find a leopard. Zachary, you say, why are their ears not on the side of their heads like ours are? Well, for a similar reason to why their eyes aren't sort of on the side, or at least in front. Can you move your ears, Zachary? Are you able to move your ears? I'll show you something. Very few people can do what I'm about to do for you. Are you looking at my ears, Zachary? Watch this. See, I can move my ear. Isn't that disgusting? Anyway, very few people can move their ears, but all of these animals can. Now, even I, with my ability to move my ear, I can't move it like that, or backwards, or sideways, but if I had my ears on the top of my head, then I could do it like that. And that means I can hear all the way around me, which we as human beings aren't very good at. Now, Ralph has got something extremely special to show you.
Alright, we've been looking for something interesting to show you, and I think we've managed to do just that. Here's a young little elephant here, and Mommy is just off to the right. We'll have a look at her. It's straight into the sun, so sorry about that. It takes a little bit of time sometimes to get the focus, but there we go. We can see Mommy nice and clearly now. And she's feeding nicely as she goes along. Remember that elephants are mixed feeders, so they'll eat trees and branches and leaves, and they'll also eat grass, and they also need to eat a lot like the giraffe, which means that they need to keep feeding almost all day to sustain such a big animal. And there with their very dexterous trunk, almost like hand and fingers at the end. See that? It's like a very strong arm. Brandon asking the question, why are their trunks so long? Once again, like the giraffe, they are big animals, so they're very high off the ground, and with that trunk they need to be able to reach down to be able to grab the grass off the ground, or to be able to suck up water into that trunk and then spray it into their mouth. But remember that it is like a very long nose. So it's not, they can't suck food up their trunk. They can suck water up their trunk and then they can spray it into their mouth. But it would be rather uncomfortable if they sucked grass or branches up their trunk. But they can hold quite a lot inside their trunk. In an adult at about 7 liters. I'm not sure how many gallons that is. Landon asking the question why elephants have large flat ears. Well, remember that these ears are like our ears. They help to catch and trap the sound and direct it into the ear hole. And they also have big ears like that because it gets very hot in the African sun, and so they wave those ears backwards and forwards, which keeps them cool. because they've got lots of blood in those ears. Dana asking the question, why do elephants have tusks? Well, they use it to defend themselves. Remember that tusks are just like big teeth. Those are big teeth coming out the sides there, so they'll use that to defend themselves, and they'll also use it to get extra food, like if they are taking bark off a tree. They use that to break open the tree, and so that they can grab the bark with their trunk afterwards and put it in their mouth. Bobby asking the question, that's a very nice question, how much do they weigh? Well, we're looking at about 6.5 to 8,000 pounds of these particular individuals, so it's very, very heavy. We in South Africa, we use kilograms, and I know that in America they use pounds, but these particular individuals were probably about 6,000 to 8,000 pounds, and in kilograms we're looking at about 4,000 kilograms, so 4 tons. Now that little baby on the left is not a tiny baby, it's probably about 2 years old, and it's Brian asking the question, what are tusks made out of? They are made out of the same material that your teeth are made out of. So it's not like the horns of the antelope, which is like your nails. These are more like your teeth. It's like enamel. So the same as your teeth. So if you knock your finger against your teeth, you can feel how hard it is. These are exactly the same as that. So they are modified teeth. Adrian asking the question, how tall are baby elephant legs? Well, it depends on how old the baby is, but generally they're at about 3 to 4 feet. So sometimes they have quite long legs as opposed to their body. So we've got some more little elephants moving through here, another little youngster, a young one, and I wonder where mommy is for this one, because elephants only have one baby. But now there's a question coming from Elena asking, do elephants only have one baby? No, excuse me, just repeat that question. Sorry, I got mixed up in my head. Are baby elephants born with tusks? Elena, they aren't born with tusks. They start to grow them. You know, like a little baby, when he's born, he doesn't have teeth. So those teeth start to grow out as he grows older. And the same happens with baby elephants. They're not born with tusks, but those tusks are ready to start growing after they are born. So they will start to come out. And you know, the reason why they don't have teeth is because they also drink milk from their mommy, and they don't want to be able, the mommy doesn't want to be able, for the babies to be able to bite her when they're drinking milk. So they don't have teeth when they are born. They grow teeth a little bit later, around about 1 year old. When they're 1 year old, then they start to show their teeth, and that's about the same time when they stop drinking milk from the mummy. They start to slow down with the milk at that time. Mia asking the question, how old do elephants live? Mia, they live up to about 60 years old, and it's normally at about the same time that they get their last teeth, and after that they slowly are not able to eat anymore. So when those teeth go away, when they are ground away, so they live up to about 60 years old. So nearly as old as humans. But remember, we have medicine. Jordan asking the question, what do elephants eat? As you can see, they eat all sorts of different plants. They will eat grass, and they'll eat branches, they will eat leaves. And you can see as they do that, they grab it with their trunk, they rip it out the ground, or they break it off, and then they put it in their mouth. So you can see their mommies eating nice big juicy clumps of green grass, and the baby will also be eating a little bit like that. Jasmine, how do elephants sleep? There's a question from Jasmine. Elephants will sleep a little bit. They can lie down on their side, and they can also lean up against trees when they want to sleep. But they don't sleep for hours and hours like we do. They'll only sleep for a short while. Mademoiselle, do elephants swim in the water and drink it? Yes, they do. They'll swim in the water and they'll drink. They love the water. Elephants absolutely love the water. So it's very nice to see when elephants are swimming. They drink the water, they spray it over themselves, they spray it under their bellies. They like to get cool, but they also like to drink the water. They can drink lots and lots of water. They need to drink a lot of water every day. Courtney, your question is, why do elephants have hair at the end of their tails? Well, Courtney, those long tails that they have, and look at that, she's having a pee and a poo. They have hair at the end of their tails so that they can swat the flies that can be very irritating. So they swing that tail around like a fly swatter and get rid of the flies. It's a very useful tool, isn't it? James asking the question, at what age do elephants separate from their parents? Well, it's different with the boys and the girl elephants. The girl elephants, they stay with the family until they get older, and they will stay with the herd. And the boys, when they get to about 12 or 13 years old, that's when they start to move away. It's about the same age as if we were 18. So when humans are 18, that's about the same time that we start to move away from the family and we go to look for work. And it's the same with elephants. At about 12 or 13 years old, the young boys, they will leave the family and normally go and join some other boys or some older elephant boys that they'll join with and go around with them, and they learn from each other. So the older elephant bulls will show the young bulls the lay of the land and how to survive in the African bush. Yasmin asking the question, do elephants have predators? Yasmin, they do have predators, especially if they are very young. The lions can try and catch them, and there are some lions that can that can hunt elephants, but there needs to be a lot of lions, like 30 lions, to be able to kill an elephant. So elephants don't like lions. They are scared of lions, and they will chase lions away if they can. But lions, if there's lots of them, they are able to hunt elephants too. Elephants are very strong, and this mommy is just pushing her way through the bushes here. They are very relaxed with us being nearby. We stopped far away from them and they came walking up to us, so we're quite happy that she's nearby to us. And she's obviously quite happy too, because she hasn't had a problem at all. So we're going to stay here and watch these elephants feeding through the bush, but in the meantime James is driving through the bush, and let's see what he's got to show you.
What we have here, everybody, is the most common antelope that we have. Remember, we saw a nyala and we saw a waterbuck, and now we have got something called an impala. He's also very pretty. There are two males there. You can see they've both got horns. Now, one of the things that you can't perhaps appreciate around here is the smells of the bush. Especially as the sun goes down, everything starts to smell so nice. And I tell you, one of the things I can smell, although I can't see any evidence of them, is elephants. Now, you've just seen elephants, and I can smell those, and that is a very special summer bird. See, he's got a nice song, and that is called a woodland kingfisher. Ma Baptista, you're wondering if the animals can see as well as cheetah and lions. Depends. So let's look at them. During the day, they probably see just as well as cheetah and lions, in fact probably better, because they can see on either sides of their heads better than lions or leopards can. But at night, no. So you know that when it's dark you struggle to see at night. I think these antelope see better than us at night, but the cats are really good at seeing at night. So at night time they see really well. The lions and the leopards and the impala not so well, but still better than us. And you can see all the colours around here, right? You can see greens and the browns of the antelope. You saw the red of the beak of that woodland kingfisher. And the woodland kingfisher is actually very blue on the back. But you know, most animals can't see that. The birds can. The birds can see in colour. But these animals here that we're looking at can't see colour. Now, Ravi, you're wondering why they've got such long horns. Well, they use them for fighting, you see. And if they're very short, well, then they're not very effective for fighting. So the longer they are, the better they are for fighting each other. We think that's why they're long anyway. You hear the woodland kingfisher still calling? Chip. Chip. Why don't you all do that? Make a woodland kingfisher call. Ooh. Just listen carefully. That impala did what we know is called an alarm call. It went, and they do that when they see a predator. So is there a predator here? I don't think so. I think they'd have carried on calling. I think what that impala saw was my foot sticking out of the car. Well, just looking to the side here. Make sure there isn't a hyena or a leopard, perhaps. Are they running? I don't know what they're running from. No, I don't think there's a leopard or predator around here. Wasn't that exciting? Let's just drive a little further forward and see if we can't see something. Now Reed, you're wondering, of course, very cleverly, while those impala were alarming, you're saying, what preys on them? Well, you'll find lions like to eat impala, leopards like to eat impala, hyena like to eat impala, wild dogs like to eat impala, cheetah like to eat impala, jackals like to eat impala, sometimes baboons like to eat impala, sometimes even human beings like to eat impala. Everything likes to eat impala, because there are lots of them, and they're not too big and they're not too small. But of course they do make lots and lots of babies every year, so it's not like they ever get finished. But lots of predators like to eat impala. We won't have very long left. We've only got 2 minutes, so we're going to drive quite quickly and just see if we don't get very lucky with a predator as the night starts to fall. Dylan, you say, why do the impala have a black spot on their heads? You mean on their faces? I'm not sure which black spot you mean. You know, sometimes it's very difficult to tell, and if you ask me a question like that, I don't know. I don't know the answers to why they've got a black spot on their heads, I'm afraid, and I don't think anybody really does. So I'm afraid I can't answer that question. I'm sorry about that. Just 1 minute left. Let's drive quickly up the road here. See if there isn't something popping out for us. Might be very lucky. No, not just yet. Can smell lovely smells of the summer flowers that are out now. Cool breeze as the night time is coming. And of course all the predators will start moving around just as it gets dark. Oh. Alright everybody, we're going to say goodbye to you now. Thank you for joining us on our little safari today. I hope you have a good day at school. For the rest of you not at school, well, I bet you're very grateful you aren't. We will see you tomorrow at 0500 Central African time. Till then, thank you very much for watching us. Have a great day wherever you happen to be in the world.